Good afternoon. Welcome to this Hybrid Cloud webinar. Simple reminder, you have the Q&A chat available in case you have any questions during the webinar. We are just starting in a few minutes. Thank you. Okay, let's get started. Pedro, all yours.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Here we are to present you the next generation of hybrid cloud in the public sector with MyCloudor and Microsoft. I'm Pedro Ley. I'm the Cloud Services Director of MyCloudor in the Middle East. And today with me, I have Eloise San Miguel, who is going to be doing the rest of the presentation. I hope you enjoy, and please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate contacting us at the last time in the presentation or afterwards on our email, okay? So at MyCloudor, we specialize on supporting our customers on their journey to the cloud from the very beginning, from the discovery phase, where we are going to be identifying your needs and how we can cover those needs using our experience and the technology, okay? From the discover phase, we are going to be moving into the transformation, where we are going to be helping you execute projects to implement the initiatives that are going to be supporting your cloud adoption. After those projects of adopting the cloud, then we are going to enter the optimization phase, where we are going to be supporting your company on getting the full benefit of the cloud. Last but not least, we are going to be helping you understanding how can you do things in an innovative way, okay? That's the last step. It's not the least important, because in today's world, everybody needs to be faster and more creative than the competition in order to gain market, okay? MyCloudor was established in 2011, so we have been working on the market for over 10 years. Of course, we had a very big experience regarding SAP. We have people with more than 20 years experience on SAP on pre-Azure scenario. We are in 10 countries currently. We have more than 200 employees, and we have been working with Azure and SAP on Azure since 2011, as soon as Microsoft, 2014, as soon as Microsoft started with Azure publicly. Okay. We are Microsoft Azure Expert Managed Service Provider. We are one of the top 5 partners on Azure Stack. We are one of the first 10 worldwide companies to achieve this SAP on Azure Advanced Specialization. And regarding Microsoft competencies, we have over a dozen of those competencies. 8 are gold competencies and more than 4 are silver competencies. A little bit about our services. I don't want to extend myself on this. If you are interested, of course, please contact us and we can go on deep on them. Okay. We talked earlier about the discovery phase, where we are going to be helping your company to understand how you should adopt the cloud, so the cloud strategy. We're going to help you with the assessment of your current situation and the desired scenario for your company, not at an end, but as a path. Okay, what are the steps that you should be adopting to get the full benefit of the cloud while delivering quick wins, let's say, and also to implement from the very beginning the cloud governance that is vital in the cloud. Cloud is a very agile environment, and we really need to implement a good governance to ensure that we keep everything under control. Okay. The transform phase is regarding the projects, as I said earlier. So we are going to be helping you define and implement your migration to the cloud. Of course, it is very possible that you already have a large installation in several data centers. So we're going to help you also on modernizing what you have today on those data centers and extending your capacity by adopting the cloud, as well as inside of the data center with Azure Stack. Okay. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we are a specialist on SAP and SAP on the cloud. So we are going to be helping you deploying or migrating to the cloud, and also getting the extra benefit. For instance, that one of the advantages of SAP on the cloud is the flexibility. We are able to have production environments that will resize depending on the demand. Optimize. On the optimize phase, we are going to be focusing on cloud DevOps. So adopting not only the technology, but everything that relates to managing and evolving your installation, combining and integrating the development teams with the operations teams, and of course the security. Okay. We also provide managed cloud services 24/7. Again, we are flexible, so it's possible to arrange custom deals for your needs. And it's also very important to manage the cost. We have some developments that we are deploying in our customers to help them manage the cost, not only on the Azure cloud, but also in other hyperscalers like AWS or Google, as well as in-house with Azure Stack. Finally, we have in the innovation phase, we have several offerings regarding the data ops, the cloud analytics. So we are able to help you with simple things like dashboards to see how your SLAs are developing, and more evolved things to help you with analytics on your business, as well as particular advanced solutions depending on your needs. Okay, all of these offerings are based on our internal intellectual property and our solutions. Why Azure Stack? Well, Azure Stack is basically your own Azure deployment. It helps you with data protection laws where maybe you cannot get the data out of the country or a certain geography, maybe Europe. It helps you with legal and regulatory environments, like if you are in a factory or a refinery, it is very possible that you are not allowed by the regulations of getting your computer power outside of the premises. Political conflicts, in some cases, it is very important to protect your data against other countries. local commitments. Typically, in these days, we try to help the local business and the creation of new jobs, and so it's important that we are able to implement in our data center tools that will enable us to be more productive. Security, in some cases, it's something that is perceived, but in other cases, it's just kind of peace of mind solution to have something like Azure in your own data center, where you are able to isolate that environment from the internet. Okay, for instance, some of the customers that are adopting Azure Stack are doing it to protect their intellectual property from the outside. Being able to implement like a small private cloud in their own data center, fully isolated from the outside, helps protect this intellectual property. Okay, some of the customers that are adopting Azure Stack are listed on this slide. You can see from the Florida Polytechnic University to the Snohomish County, BlackNet that is on the right side. They work for the Germany Department of Defense. Here we have, for instance, Airbus that is using Azure Stack to protect their intellectual property. Later on, Eloise will talk about Zurich Santander because it's one of our customers, and we have been helping them implement a local solution in South America. Yeah, okay, so Azure Stack has been around for a while, and more and more customers are adopting it. So we are getting more customers more or less every day. Okay, with all of that, I will handle the presentation to Eloise, who is going to be presenting you more of the technical aspects of the Azure Stack. Thank you so much. And please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate contacting us. See you in a minute. Bye.
Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you, Pedro, a lot. This was a very good introduction for this new technology, well, this not so new technology, and a good introduction for which will be the case of uses, etc. So I will accompany you for a more technical explanation, okay, on Azure Stack. So as Pedro explained us, the idea is to use Azure Stack and all the family of Azure Stack to modernize our data center infrastructures and bring them closer to the cloud. Okay, maybe we have some limitations from the legal, maybe our internet connection is intermittent, maybe we have different compliance aspects that we must keep in mind. So Azure Stack is here for us for those kind of cases. Well, my name is Eloise San Miguel. I'm a cloud architect at mycloud.org. I've been working on hybrid implementations for a while and helping and accompanying our clients with this journey of modernization and this journey to the cloud. So the idea for Azure Stack on the first point is eliminating the technological obsolescence for most of our applications, okay? Because sometimes in our data centers we are relying on, for example, legacy operating systems, legacy applications which consume a lot of time, which are preventing us from evolving on our services, which are hard and complicated to manage, to keep running. So what we want to Azure Stack is eliminate these barriers, okay, and invest on the future for you to be able to go to the cloud in a proper way and without any disruption or your current operations. So, which are the trends of the industry? This is very important because right now, all the companies in the market are trying to comply with this kind of trends. No, first we discovered that we need more and more hyperconverged infrastructure, which has the characteristic to be robust, because right now with the cloud, for example, with the pandemic, we discovered that we need a very strong basis for our IT. We can have, for example, big disasters. Each hour of our business is very important. So this is one of the main points for the modern infrastructure and hyperconverged, not only storage, but services, applications, etc. Right now, we are not speaking about just a high availability, but a more robust infrastructure and more robust applications. After, we are speaking about a lot of application innovation, for example, with technologies like Kubernetes, which maybe 1 or 2 years ago, the people were saying, no, this is just a trend, this will pass. But right now, there's a lot of very big companies which are relying on this kind of clusters on microservices because they need the agility for their developments, because they have discovered that having the developers working and sending a new code and implementing new functions is more important than just keep there maintaining an old infrastructure and losing their time on legacy systems. After, we are speaking about hybrid cloud. This is one of the main points, because sometimes when we have the clients, the companies, we must keep working on what they have. We will not just or disappear the on-premises services, because there are many companies that have big deployments on premises which are migrable or not. So this is very important to keep working with them on a hybrid cloud, and in the next steps, even with a multi-cloud, which will be not only hybrid, not only working with the edge, but in different clouds for the public cloud environment. And after, there is a strong trend to be more and more secure, which is very important, because right now the companies are receiving a lot of attacks every day. Big companies, small companies, any kind of attacks, CryptoLocker, lots of different penetrations. So what we want to do is to grant this security, not only for the data, because this is very important and it's more at database level with encryption, etc., but to grant the security for accessing our infrastructure or servers, and the security of the physical too. This is not only a big trend, but a commitment for the public clouds to keep the security at highest level. They do million of dollars of investment each year for comply with this security, and we with Azure Stack can have this experience and these implementations in our data centers, okay? Our small part of the cloud right there in our data center. So the customers' environments are right now are very diverse. Before we were only speaking about servers of VMware, servers on Hyper-V, but right now we have containers, Kubernetes clusters, serverless applications, web apps, multiple databases. Right now we are speaking about MongoDB, for example, graphs, databases, small tables, SQL, well, an environment totally amazing compared with the past. After we have two very diverse infrastructure. We have the normal data centers, but we have, for example, companies with premises with a lot of IoT, which needs to be to keep working, and we need to grab all those data every time and process them in at the same moment. So this is very, very interesting, because right now we receive data for example, from facilities, from trucks, from our hardware itself. We have a data center, main offices, etc., etc. So this is well, a big trend, and it's not the future, is the present. And after, the companies work multi-cloud. Right now, the big companies doesn't rely only on one cloud. They already know that, for example, AWS is very strong for some implementations on serverless, that Microsoft Azure can be their partner, for example, for implementations like SAP, because they have a very robust collaboration and developments for SAP, for Windows, for Linux too, and Google, for example, for their data. So it is very common to have customers with the data in Azure, the backups in AWS, and, for example, the processing of the data in Google Cloud. So right now, the present is very beautiful on this complexity and on this kind of new environments which are right now available for the customers. But this makes yes, a bit difficult to keep all in our hands, no? Maybe right now the people who is doing the administration of the systems must go from one side to another, or know a lot of technologies for being able to work, okay? And what Microsoft right now has developing for us is, well, a very good tool, which is Azure Arc, for helping us to have on one single pane of glass all our systems or servers in different implementations, VMware, AWS, Alibaba Cloud, Azure, our Azure Stack 2. And being able to apply, for example, extensions, send PowerShell commands, use the different implementations and the different tooling we have for Azure on our different environments. Even we can enable Azure Arc with GitHub and other implementations for AKS cluster. So this is very interesting for having the full control of all our environments on one single pane of glass in Azure. This is very, very interesting, because, as I said, we have the possibility to migrate to Azure, but some of the loads can be migrated. We can unify our operations with Azure Arc, which is a very interesting way of having the control of all our systems, okay? We can too have these multiple environments or multi-cloud modernization. Our, for example, our teams working with the latest technologies in the different clouds or even in on-premises, okay, and modernize our data centers with the newest technology and the most compliant from Microsoft to us, okay. So What is interesting from Azure Arc? Azure Arc gives us control for organize and govern all our environments. We can see from the different clouds and from our data center on a single pane of glass. Our Kubernetes clusters or virtual machines, we can from this pane or this from Azure directly, we can see and receive log analytics data. We can, for example, apply policies to the different virtual machines to have the security center too, which is very, very interesting, to have the same compliance, the same policies of accesses, and the same technology for working with a very diverse environments. Okay, after we can manage to our Kubernetes application, we can use GitHub implementations and do this to have the control of the Kubernetes there directly from Azure. This is very, very interesting because right now GitHub is totally integrated with Azure too. So this will help the developers to avoid this, to go into different applications and work there and there, but just from their computers to do the deployments in a very easy way and very straightforward. And after we can run our applications anywhere because, as I said, the different companies needs the flexibility for running wherever they want. Okay, whenever they want, because we can't just say no, you must run on cloud or you must run on premises. We must be flexible. After we have a big offer, you know, for the hybrid platform. We have on one side the pure public offer, which is Azure. There we have not only the Azure portal, the PaaS services, SQL on PaaS, other databases on PaaS, API, all this cloud environment, which is huge, it's just enormous. After we have the cloud computing, the more basic part, which are virtual machines, storage, and virtualized networking. Okay, and on the basis of that, we have the Azure hardware, which is compliant with their standards and what they want for the data centers. No, the modularity and the quickness for the replacement of parts, etc., etc. This is available right now in a lot of places of the planet, but still we have some places where Azure is not present or doesn't have any region, or where we don't have, for example, internet connectivity. There we can use Azure Stack Hub, which is the biggest implementation of the family of Azure Stack. So it will allow us to operate the cloud, but in our private data center. For Azure Stack Hub, we have the same Azure portal, okay, and a sub segment of the elements we have in public cloud. This is a small part of the cloud in our own data center. What we can run there? We can run virtual machines on Linux and Windows. We can run two web apps functions, the Key Vault, which is basic. We can, for example, run a Kubernetes with AKS engine. We have, for example, the possibility to have an Azure marketplace, the full marketplace for Azure, IoT Hub, Event Hubs too. So this is very interesting because we can, with the same, the same face of Azure and the same services and the same ways of deployment and tools and templates, we can have this small part of the cloud running on our data center. For what? For example, for compliance with the regulations for the data, because our data can't, for example, land in another country, or there are some crazy implementations that can be, for example, implementations which are very far of any internet connectivity. So we can use Azure Stack Hub, for example, for missions in some parts of the planet where we don't have connectivity. We only need power and networking to our computers. For example, on a ship, for example, this can be very, very interesting for those kind of scenarios, no? And after we have a very small offer, which are small servers, but very robust and compliant with the hyper-converged solutions, which are Azure Stack Hci solutions. Right now, Hci allows a hyper-converged storage, which is very interesting because it is our data center, but it's highly converged, so we will not have the problems of losing a disk and losing all the data. Okay, after we can, for example, use it for right now Azure Virtual Desktop, which is very interesting, and even deploy a Kubernetes cluster on them. So this is very, very interesting and can be put in our data center in a very quickly manner because the deployment is very straightforward. What it is on the physical? Okay, so here we can see Azure Stack Hub, which is the biggest implementation. Well, there is a biggest one, which is containers. Okay, but this is Azure Stack Hub is a rack. Okay, which is already delivered to us with this form. Okay, it's closed. We don't have the need to connect all the cables of the servers, etc., but it's a package. Okay, you receive it on your data center, you connect to electricity, to the networking, okay, and depending on the size, you can have your Azure Stack Hub working on your data center, for example, in 24 hours without any intervention from your side or from your IT team, because this is delivered and implemented directly by the partner, okay? The other solution, Azure Stack Hci, you can see those blade servers, okay, for virtualization, remote branch offices. This is smaller, okay, and we connect it, for example, with System Center and with Azure for management, deployment, etc. So this is very easy to manage because in the same in Azure itself, we can see if we have patching available, if we need a replacement, for example, for a disk or any part of the Azure Stack Hci. And after we have the small one, which is Azure Stack Edge, which is there only for example, sending data to Azure to get IoT and Edge data and transfer it with a previous data transformation to Azure, public Azure. So it will help us with this machine learning to transform those raw data before sending them to Azure. So this is a very good offer. Azure Stack Hub is available in a regularized offer too, and can be, for example, put as I say, in a ship, in a truck, etc., for having your Azure Stack there available wherever and whenever you need. And what is delivered with Azure Stack Hub? With Azure Stack Hub, we have the small part, this small part of the cloud, the basic one, okay, which will be the Azure portal with their tools, the Active Directory like Azure, okay, so it's consistent with Azure. After we have the marketplace, as I said, we download the elements for the marketplace that we need. We have a lot of partners putting and working on marketplace items. Let's say, for example, Bitnami, let's say Ubuntu, let's say, well, Microsoft itself, SQL, Oracle Linux, etc., etc., etc. We have an offer very, very big for the different elements on the marketplace. After we have virtual machines, the same as in public Azure, we have the networking elements, VNets, subnets, site-to-site VPNs too, available public IPs too, for your Azure Stack. After we have the possibility to storage disks, storage accounts for blobs, for example, for the different developments, and we have the Key Vault. And with all this combination of those different elements, we can have app services, SQL as PaaS, MySQL as PaaS, Azure Kubernetes engine, okay, for productive workloads, and we can have automations of the different operations the same way that we have in Azure. Okay, I will share with you different ideas of architecture in the same presentation for you to be able to understand how it can work. Okay. This what it gives us Azure Stack Hub, the consistency on an Azure Active Directory, okay, which can be combined with our AD using AD Connect. Okay, so this is the same Active Directory. We have another option for using ADFS, for example, if we don't have connectivity to internet. Okay, but this is totally feasible. After we have the same layer of management as security, IAM, roles, etc. for using with Azure's Azure Public and Azure Stack. We have nearly the same Azure data services. We can have a SQL on PaaS in a consistent way with the SQL PaaS, which is deployed on Azure Stack Hub. We can use the same platforms for the databases. It will be very seamless. And we have services, for example, as DevOps and development tools, which can be integrated with Azure Stack to have the same experience. Why? For example, let's say that you can't go to the cloud, to the public cloud, but you really want to use, for example, CI/CD, Azure DevOps, or GitHub. Well, you can use it on Azure Stack because it's already integrated, okay? And we have you have the possibility of have your developers working on this with the same tools that the right now are working for public clouds, okay, and which are right now used by the different companies. So this is very, very interesting. This was already explained by Pedro. For what you can use your Azure Stack for regulatory, maybe you can't go to the cloud because you want to have your data secure in your data center, because your data can't go to other countries, for example, for regulatory, or for example, for health, you can't have your data out of your data centers. For example, if you want to use the same capabilities that public Azure, okay, for modernization of your data center and being able to use those new technologies which are right now being used for the different companies, Kubernetes, serverless, etc., and for cloud readiness, to prepare your teams to be able to work with the public cloud the day the public cloud region goes to your country. This is very interesting because sometimes the teams can feel that they are not learning, they are not participating on this kind of modernization. So the cloud readiness is very important for having the teams in the same path that the market is marking, okay? One of our clients, and this is a very interesting case. I love it very much because it is a company which resides in Chile. Right now, there is not. Well, 4 years ago, there were not region of even region a possibility on Chile. Right now is in project, okay, but they really wanted to participate on the cloud modernization and bring their application to the cloud. So they decide to use Azure Stack Hub, but a very little implementation because this was very new, and they needed to check and test how it worked, how they will be working with the technology, no? So they at the very beginning, they were using a very small implementation of 4 nodes, which is the smallest one, for implementing their core application, which is called iAxis, which relies on Red Hat, okay, and their own development, and Oracle database too. So I remember implementing the servers on the Azure Stack and helping them to do the migration, the data, etc. And from time to time, they were gaining a lot more of confidence with Azure Stack, and right now they are in the process of decommissioning their VMware, okay, for sending all their data loads to the Azure Stack Hubs they have in their implementation. How? Well, as this is physical, this has a limit. Azure Stack allows you to expand the capability for Azure Stack. They had 4 nodes, and right now they are growing to have 6, but you can have an implementation and grow it from 4 nodes to the biggest one, which is 16. Okay, so this is very, very interesting because after all those years working with them, they have been able to see that the technology is very robust, that the support from Microsoft is totally reliable. If we have any problem, we have quick solutions and engineers working with us all the time, that the platform is totally secure. Okay, and the maintenance and all the support is very straightforward, and they are now working with, for example, implementations for robotization. They have Windows 7, Windows 10 running on the Azure Stack Hubs, Red Hat, Ubuntu, Oracle Linux, SQL2, and different, and F5, for example, for the load balancing internally of the applications. So this is a very beautiful project because we have been there with them from the very beginning and for their growth in Azure Stack. So this is a very interesting case of use. And I'm very happy with this implementation because they are growing more and more confident, and they can see the solution by themselves and rely on it. So here I've brought some cases of use for your implementation on Azure Stack, because sometimes it's pretty complicated to think on what can I have, or what can I implement on the Azure Stack, no? So what you can do with Azure Stack, for example, is to extend your data center. So, for example, you can have the same technology on Azure Stack, for example, web apps for webs, okay, running on your Azure Stack, and use your same developments, the same tools for pushing the code into the web apps, the same CI/CD flows for your web apps, for running on Azure Stack and running on public Azure too. And for example, you can have solutions for automatically escalate the solution from your Azure Stack development, which will be the basis, okay, the core of your application, and go to the cloud on the moment you have, for example, a peak of use. Okay, so this is very interesting. For this kind of a scenario, it is important to know that we need a very strong internet connectivity, because normally the data will reside on Azure Stack. So what we do is to grant a connectivity between public Azure and your Azure Stack, for example, using a spread route. Okay, and here is the flow. Normally, the users are growing. We use Traffic Manager to redirect them using DNS for the different implementation. This is one of the case of uses that can be very interesting. We even can have, instead of web apps, we can have app servers or web servers in front, and if the application allows us, we can have this kind of overflowing to the cloud. After, we have, for example, another interesting case, which can be the possibility of using those legacy databases that we have on premises, but those the kind of databases that can't be migrated to any system or any cloud. Okay, so sometimes we have those legacy systems, databases very old or very big that we don't really migrate. That are very difficult to migrate, for example, and which are very important and very sensitive. So we can have our databases, keep our databases on premises, okay, but use Azure Stack and, for example, a Kubernetes to transform the data and allow the connection from web apps or frontal implementations on public Azure, transforming the data into the Kubernetes to being able to connect to those legacy systems. This is very interesting too, because now we have this possibility of running the Kubernetes cluster on the Azure Stack Hub, and this opens the door to those microservice implementations on our Azure Stack that maybe are pretty complicated to being developed and being implemented on our physical, our premises data centers, okay? Because we need to do a lot of implementation, manual steps, manual installation is very complicated, okay? But with AKS Engine, we in a very straightforward way, using just JSON, we can send to the API of Azure Stack the data and deploy quickly and with a lot of flexibility, the Kubernetes cluster running on Azure Stack with using the engine. Okay, so this is very interesting for using those kind of technologies. And how it works, the AKS engine, for example, on Azure Stack, we can have the AKS engine to deploy or clusters, okay? This is what we use to deploy those clusters in Azure Stack Hub. After the Kubernetes cluster will communicate with Azure Stack, okay? For example, for sending the node, the pods between the nodes, okay? And process the data between the nodes. So this this relies directly to the API for the Azure Stack and the Kubernetes version, okay? And we can use, for example, Azure repos or Azure pipelines to send our code to our Kubernetes cluster. Here, for example, in this example, we can have Traffic Manager in public Azure and resend to two different Kubernetes cluster the load for the clients. Okay, so this is one of the interesting examples that we can totally implement and is there for productive environments on Azure Stack. And after, for example, this is a pretty much complex, but it's nearly the same. We can have our Azure Stack cluster running on Azure Stack Hub, okay? Different pods in our Kubernetes cluster for ingress, monitoring, logging, etc. Here, for example, we have the SQL database running on our Azure Stack 2. It can be on PaaS, or it can be on a virtual machine, on a normal virtual machine. This is totally possible. And what we use on public Azure is the Active Directory for Azure Stack Hub, Azure Repos, Azure Pipelines, and Container Registry on Azure for working with the images, for doing a versioning of the images. And when we do Docker pull from the Kubernetes cluster, we grab those images from the Container Registry to our Kubernetes cluster. We can use to Helm, for example, or the different tools for those kind of deployments. This is one of the very interesting implementations that we can do in our Azure Stack Hub. And you will maybe think on how it is. Let me show me how it is Azure Stack. And I brought this slide because here we can see which is the difference between Azure Stack and public Azure, and it's pretty the same, because the first image is Azure Stack Hub, and you will see here we have virtual machines, load balancer is the same portal, okay, and the other one is the public Azure. So for your teams, it will be the same platform, the same portal, and for sure the same APIs to work. So there is no difference between one of them. The only difference is that in Azure Stack, your services will be a small part than the ones we have in public Azure. And after, we can have a marketplace, which is the same experience that in Azure Stack. And here, for example, we can see this is a real Azure Stack, okay, a productive one. And this is the marketplace for the Azure Stack. So here you can see you have Ubuntu, for example. We have a Linux core, we have a SQL server. So all the offer is there in the link you can have in the presentation for you to see that it's totally the same implementation. And now for understanding how it works, if you really want to have the Azure Stack Hub in your data center and have this technology, you have different acquisition models. And this is interesting because you have two possibilities. On the Azure Stack, the architecture will be the same. Maybe the difference will be the quantity of servers, of nodes you will need, okay? Because if you want to deploy a lot of PaaS services, for example, and after virtual machines too, maybe you need an implementation on test servers, so you can go from minimum 4 servers to 16, okay? But the other parts of the Azure Stack will be the same. HLH host for the maintenance and the support for the partner of the hardware, okay? After the server, all is hyper-converged, the servers, the disk of the virtual machines, the storage underlying the infrastructure, so you can lose one full server and the Azure Stack will keep running, okay? After you have the switches and the doors, and this is on a rack, okay? Served on your data center, prepared for only just connecting and deploy. And will allow you to keep this cycle working and alive all the time. If we have, for example, a disk which is broken, you will have the support of the hardware partner to receive the replacement part, okay, to quickly and easily install it without a lot of configuration, etc., etc. Just remove the broken disk and place the new disk there without any loss of data, okay. The hardware is totally validated by Microsoft and by the hardware partner. You can't just buy Azure Stack from anywhere or create your own Azure Stack, because the hardware must be validated by Microsoft, okay? You receive the same monitoring and diagnostics that for public Azure. You receive patches continuously and new capabilities for your Azure Stack. So you must keep applying the patches for the hardware, okay, and for the Azure Stack too. And you are receiving the best and the latest updates for your Azure Stack Hub to be all the time working on the best levels. Okay, so this makes part of the contract of the Azure Stack. All these patches, all this support of the hardware partner, etc., etc. So you must just only operate it, use it, and enjoy it. On Azure Stack, the model is like this one. You buy the hardware, okay, because the hardware is yours, directly from the hardware partners. It's not a lot of companies, but the biggest ones are having this hardware for Azure Stack, okay. It includes support and installation, okay. After, you have a part which is Microsoft, which is the Azure Stack infrastructure virtual machines for you to be able to see this beautiful portal, to receive the marketplace item, to use the virtual machines. So this is included from Microsoft. And after, you can consume your services, your virtual machines, or all the other systems, or the other elements, storage, etc., via your normal bill for CSP or enterprise agreement, etc., with a full support, integrated, okay. You just don't have to go and to other part to have the support, but the support is there. The partners work with Microsoft to give a seamless support for all the pieces, and all the issues you can have, okay. The partner goes to your site, connects and deploy, okay, because the scripts are given by Microsoft, and this is intellectual property for Microsoft. So anyway, only the partners have access to it. Okay, and after, you have the support for replacement of parts, for new nodes, for example, replacement of disks, memories, increasing your Azure Stack, for example, cores, memory, etc. And the acquisition models are, from one possibility could be that you buy your hardware infrastructure, you pay for your support, and after, you pay as you consume the licenses, and on a monthly invoice you can pay, for example, for the operating system, so the virtual machines and the capacity of the virtual machines you are running on the Azure Stacks. So this is a mix between the acquisition you do on CapEx for your infra, okay, and an OpEx for your consumption. But for example, there are some companies that don't want to use this kind of model because they just want to pay it upfront. It's totally possible to pay full CapEx for the full package. So you pay what is your Azure Stack, okay, hardware infrastructure, whatever you need, okay. 1 year or support, the support level is the highest, okay, 4 hours for response for critical issues, okay. The licenses for 1 year for the full Azure Stack, and 1 year for full operation services. So you can pay annually your CapEx for the full package. Okay, so right now, well, I don't know if you have any questions for us. If you maybe are interested to know any other things about the Azure Stack, well, we are there. We have still some minutes for you. So, Pedro, I think you have the next steps, no?
Correct. So, before the next steps, let us do a quick summary, okay, Can you see my screen? Yeah. I think you need to stop sharing, Eloise. Okay. Okay, now we are there. Okay, so quick summary. Okay, so you can extend the Azure services and capabilities to your environment of choice from the data center to edge location and remote sites, connecting to Azure in the cloud. With Azure Stack, you can build, deploy, and run hybrid and edge computing applications consistently across your IT ecosystem with flexibility for diverse workloads. This is a very summarized version of what we have been talking today: the Azure Stack Edge, the Azure Stack Hci, and the Azure Stack Hub. Okay. I don't know if we have time. It's yeah, we are over the hour. Okay, so let's talk about the next steps. Next steps basically is to get let's start it with adopting the cloud hybrid solutions by extending the management and services using Azure ARC. Okay, modernizing your data center with Azure Stack. So you already have a data center, and this is an accelerator to obtain the best of your current installation. Okay, and we also want to transmit you that you should embrace the future. You should create the art of the possible on your business. Azure Stack is a portfolio of products that extend Azure services and capabilities to your environment of choice. Okay, and you can imagine new ways of better serving your customers and better serving your business. Okay, with all that, please contact us if you have any questions regarding adopting, or if you want to do a project to test Azure Stack or anything where we can help you. Thank you so much, and please let us know if you need anything else from us.
Thank you, Pedro. Have a nice day.